The school's fluorescent lights buzzed like a swarm of angry bees, casting a sterile glow over the principal's office where I sat. Heart pounding. My daughter, Lily, 16 and sharp as a blade, had just told the school I was an unfit mother. Her words a grenade lobbed into my carefully constructed world. By the time Principal Andrews leaned back in his chair, his eyes glinting with something too knowing, I realized he wasn't shocked, and that terrified me more than Lily's betrayal. I'd always thought I could keep my two lives separate. By day, I was Claire Thompson, devoted single mom, baking cookies for PTA fundraisers and cheering at Lily's soccer games. By night, I was someone else entirely, someone who slipped into the shadows of Chicago's underbelly, trading secrets for cash to keep us afloat. It started 3 years ago, after my husband's death left us drowning in debt. I told myself it was temporary, just until I could rebuild. But lies have a way of growing roots, and mine had tangled deep. Lily's accusation wasn't baseless. She'd caught glimpses late-night phone calls I brushed off, cash stashed in my dresser, my unexplained absences. Last week, she'd seen objection of the sort, but I didn't know she'd pieced it together enough to go to the school. She says you're never home, Andrews said, his voice calm but probing. That you're hiding something dangerous. His pause felt like a trap. I forced a smile, my mind racing. How much did he know? Had Lily told him everything? Or was he fishing? I leaned forward, hands clasped to hide their trembling. She's a teenager, Mr. Andrews. She's angry because I work late to provide for her. My voice was steady, but inside, I was unraveling. Lily wasn't just angry, she was hurt. I'd seen it in her eyes, the way they darkened when I dodged her questions. I thought I was protecting her, but I'd built a wall instead. Andrews steepled his fingers, studying me. Claire, I've known you for years. You're a good mom. But Lily's not the only one who's noticed inconsistencies. My stomach dropped. He pulled a file from his desk, sliding it toward me. This came to my attention last month. Anonymous tip. Photos of you at places you shouldn't be. My breath caught as I opened the file. Grainy images showed me outside a warehouse, meeting a man in a suit, someone I'd sworn to Lily was just a business contact. Who sent this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Andrews shrugged, but his eyes didn't leave mine. Does it matter? The question is, what's going on? Claire. I wanted to scream that it wasn't his business, that I was doing what I had to for my daughter. But the truth was a house of cards, and one wrong move could bring it down. I left his office with a warning: get Lily under control, or child services might get involved. The threat felt like a noose tightening around my neck. As I drove home, the city lights blurred through my tears. Lily was waiting in the living room, her arms crossed, her face a storm of defiance and pain. Why'd you do it, Mom? She spat. Why'd you tell them I'm a liar? I opened my mouth, but no words came. How could I explain without destroying everything? That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the burner phone I used for my other life. It buzzed with a new message: meet tomorrow. No excuses. My contact, Vincent, wasn't the type to negotiate. He paid well, but his world was a viper's nest, and I was in too deep to walk away clean. I thought of Lily sleeping down the hall, unaware of how much I'd sacrificed to keep her safe. Or had I just been lying to myself? The next morning, I tried to talk to Lily over breakfast. I'm doing my best, sweetheart, I said, reaching for her hand. She yanked it away. Your best? You're never here. I know you're hiding something, Mom. I'm not stupid. Her words cut deeper than I expected. I wanted to tell her everything, to beg her to understand, but the truth would only put her in danger. At school, I caught whispers from other parents, their sidelong glances like knives. Word of Lily's accusation had spread, and the PTA moms were circling like vultures. I needed to fix this, But first, I had to deal with Vincent. That night, I drove to the warehouse district, my heart hammering as I parked in the shadows. Vincent was waiting, his smile cold. "You're late," he said, handing me an envelope. "This one's big. Claire, don't screw it up." Inside the envelope was a list of names people I was supposed to dig up dirt on. One name stopped me cold, Principal Andrews. My hands shook as I realized the collision course I was on. If Andrews was involved in Vincent's world, he wasn't just suspicious of May, he was dangerous. And if he knew my secret, Lily wasn't safe either. I drove home, my mind a whirlwind. I had to protect Lily, but every choice felt like a trap. Tell her the truth, and I'd drag her into my mess. Keep lying, and I'd lose her forever. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw Lily's silhouette in her window, watching me. For the first time, I wondered if she was safer without me. The next day, I woke to Lily slamming her bedroom door, her footsteps heavy with resentment. I wanted to chase after her, to force her to hear me, but the weight of Vincent's envelope anchored me to the kitchen table. Principal Andrews' name stared back at me, a ticking bomb in black ink. If he was tied to Vincent's network, my double life wasn't just a secret, it was a death sentence. I called in sick to my day job, a clerical gig at a law firm that barely paid the bills. It was a cover, a flimsy excuse for the money that kept our house from foreclosure. The real cash came from Vincent's assignments, but each one pulled me deeper into a world I despised. I needed to know what Andrews knew. If he was dirty, I could use it to protect Lily. If he wasn't, I was walking into a trap. I drove to a coffee shop across town, a place with free Wi-Fi and no security cameras. Using my burner laptop, I started digging. Andrews had a squeaky clean reputation, pillar of the community. Widowed father, always at school events. But nobody's that perfect. I hacked into his email, a skill I'd picked up from Vincent's crew. Most of it was mundane budget reports, parent complaints, but one thread caught my eye. Cryptic messages from an anonymous account, mentioning deliveries and discretion. My pulse quickened. This was no coincidence. I cross-referenced the email address with Vincent's network. It led to a shell company I'd seen before, one Vincent used to launder money. Andrews wasn't just suspicious of May, he was in the game. But why target me? Was he protecting his own secrets? Or was this Vincent's way of testing my loyalty? I needed answers, but confronting Andrews directly was too risky. I had to play this smart. Back home, Lily was at soccer practice, giving me time to think. I pored over the photos from Andrews' file. They were taken 2 weeks ago, outside the same warehouse where I'd met Vincent last night. Someone was watching me. But who? Vincent? Andrews? Or someone else entirely? The thought made my skin crawl. I hid the envelope in a locked drawer, my hands shaking as I realized how close this was getting to Lily. When Lily came home, her silence was louder than any argument. I tried to bridge the gap. "Can we talk?" I asked, keeping my voice soft. She glared, her backpack slung over one shoulder. "What's the point? You'll just lie again." She stormed upstairs, leaving me with the echo of her words. I wanted to scream that I was protecting her, that every lie was for her. But she was right, I'd been lying too long. That night, I couldn't sleep. The burner phone buzzed again. Warehouse. Midnight. Bring the list. Vincent's demands were escalating, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Andrews was pulling strings from the shadows. I slipped out after Lily was asleep, driving through Chicago's empty streets. The warehouse loomed like a predator, its rusted walls hiding secrets older than mine. Vincent was there, flanked by 2 men I didn't recognize. "You're slipping, Claire," he said, his voice low. "Andrews is asking questions. Handle it, or I will." "Handle it how?" I asked, my throat dry. Vincent's smile was a blade. "Figure it out. You're good at that." He handed me another envelope, this one heavier, with a weight that felt like trouble. Inside was a flash drive and a note. Evidence. Use it. I didn't dare open it there. As I left, one of Vincent's men followed me to my car, his eyes boring into me. Don't get cute, he warned. Back home, I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. It contained audio files, conversations between Andrews and an unknown voice, discussing product and payments. My heart sank. Andrews wasn't just involved. He was neck deep. One recording mentioned a problem named Claire. Me. I listened until dawn, each word tightening the knot in my chest. Andrews wasn't just a principal, was a player in Vincent's game, and I was caught in their crossfire. I had to protect Lily, but every move felt like a step toward disaster. If I exposed Andrews, Vincent might see it as betrayal. If I stayed silent, Andrews could ruin me and take Lily with me. I needed an ally, but who could I trust? As the sun rose, I heard Lily's door creak open. She stood in the kitchen, her eyes red from crying. I don't want to lose you, Mom, she whispered. For the first time in years, I saw my little girl, not the angry teenager. I hugged her, tears streaming down my face. You won't, I promised, even as I wondered if I could keep it. Lily's hug lingered in my bones, a rare moment of connection that made the lies I'd told her feel like poison. But the flash drive on my desk was a ticking clock, and I had to act before Andrews or Vincent made their move. I couldn't let Lily see me crumble, so I sent her to a friend's house for the day, promising we'd talk soon. Her hesitant nod was a lifeline I clung to as I dove back into the chaos of my double life. The audio files painted a grim picture. Andrews wasn't just a corrupt principal. He was brokering deals for Vincent, using the school as a front. One recording mentioned a shipment arriving at the school's loading dock next week, something big, something dangerous. My name came up again, this time as a loose end. I felt like a hunted animal, cornered by predators on all sides. I needed leverage, something to neutralize Andrews without tipping off Vincent. I spent the day cross-referencing the shell company from Andrews' emails. It led to a network of offshore accounts, a maze of money trails that screamed organized crime. I wasn't a hacker by trade, but desperation sharpened skills. By evening, I had enough to prove Andrews was dirty bank records, email chains, even a photo of him with one of Vincent's known associates. But using it meant exposing myself. If Vincent found out, I'd be dead. If Andrews got wind, he'd go after Lily to silence me. I needed help, but trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. My only option was Sarah, a former colleague from the law firm who'd left after a scandal. She'd always suspected I was hiding something, but never pried. I called her, keeping it vague. I need advice, I said. Off the record. We met at a diner, far from prying eyes. Sarah's sharp gaze cut through my excuses. Claire, you're in over your head, she said after I hinted at my predicament. Get out before it's too late. I can't, I admitted, my voice breaking. Not until I know Lily's safe. Sarah sighed, scribbling a name on a napkin, Detective Mark Ellis. He's clean. Hates corruption. But be careful, he'll want everything you've got. I tucked the napkin away, my heart pounding. A cop was a gamble, but I was running out of moves. That night, Lily came home, her eyes searching mine for answers. Are you in trouble, Mom? She asked. I wanted to tell her everything, to unburden my soul, but the truth was a loaded gun. Instead, I said, I'm fixing things. I promise. She didn't believe me, could see it in her frown, but she nodded, retreating to her room. I hated myself for the distance between us, but I had to focus. The next day, I tracked down Detective Ellis. He was a grizzled man in his 50s, with eyes that had seen too much. I met him in a park, away from cameras, and handed him a burner phone with copies of the flash drive's files. Andrews is dirty, I said, keeping my voice low. He's using the school to move product for a guy named Vincent. Ellis didn't flinch, but his jaw tightened. You got proof? He asked. I nodded, my stomach churning. But you can't know my name. My daughter's at stake. Ellis agreed to keep me anonymous, but his warning chilled me. If this is as big as you say, you're not safe. Neither is your kid. I drove home, paranoia clawing at me. Every car in my rear view felt like a threat. When I got inside, Lily was on the couch, her phone buzzing with texts. Who's that? I asked, sharper than I meant. She flinched. Just friends, Mom. God. But her eyes darted away, and I wondered if she was hiding something too. That night, the burner phone rang. It was Vincent. You've been busy, he said, his voice like ice. My blood froze. I don't know what you mean. I lied. He laughed, cold and hollow. Don't play dumb. Claire. Andrew says you're sniffing around. Fix it, or I'll fix you. The line went dead, and I stood in my kitchen, shaking. Vincent knew. Andrews knew. And Lily was caught in the middle. I checked on her, finding her asleep, her face soft and vulnerable. I swore I'd get us out of this, no matter the cost. But as I sat in the dark, the flash drive heavy in my hand, I realized the cost might be everything me freedom. My life. Or worse, Lily's trust. I had to move fast, but every step felt like walking on glass. The morning sun did nothing to warm the dread pooling in my chest. Vincent's threat echoed in my mind, and I knew time was running out. I had to neutralize Andrews before he or Vincent made good on their promises. But I couldn't shake the fear that Lily was slipping away from me, her trust eroded by my secrets. I drove her to school, the silence between us thick with unspoken questions. I love you, Lily, I said as she got out. She paused, her hand on the door, then muttered, whatever, before walking away. Her rejection stung, but I couldn't dwell on it. I had to meet Detective Ellis again. He'd texted me a location, a rundown motel on the city's edge, far from prying eyes. Ellis was waiting in the parking lot, his face grim. Your files check out, he said, lighting a cigarette. Andrews is dirty, but he's connected. We move on him. It'll stir up a hornet's nest. I swallowed hard. What about Vincent? Ellis shook his head. He's a ghost. No record. No face. You're our best shot at him. The weight of his words crushed me. I wasn't just a source, I was bait. He gave me a recorder, small enough to hide in my purse. Get Andrews talking. Anything incriminating. We'll handle the rest. I nodded, but my hands shook as I took it. Betraying Andrews meant betraying Vincent. And either way, I was painting a target on my back. But for Lily, I'd walk through fire. Back at home, I planned my move. Andrews had called a parent-teacher meeting that evening, supposedly to discuss Lily's behavior. It was a perfect opportunity. I dressed carefully, jeans, a sweater, nothing to draw attention, and tucked the recorder into my bag. As I drove to the school, my heart pounded like a war drum. The parking lot was nearly empty, the school eerie under the sodium lights. Andrews was in his office, his smile too smooth. Claire, thanks for coming, he said, gesturing to a chair. I sat, forcing my face into a mask of calm. Lily's been struggling, he began, but I cut him off. This isn't about Lily, is it? His eyes narrowed, and I leaned forward, my voice low. I know about the shipments. Andrews. The warehouse. Vincent. His face paled, but he recovered quickly. You're out of your depth, Claire. I pressed record, hidden in my bag. Am I? Or are you scared I'll tell someone about your side hustle? His jaw clenched, and for a moment, I thought he'd lunge across the desk. Instead, he laughed, cold and brittle. You think you're clever. Vincent owns you. You talk. And your daughter pays. My blood ran cold. But I pushed harder. Why me? Why drag me into this? He leaned back. Smug. Because you're disposable. Vincent needed someone desperate. And you fit the bill. Every word was a nail in my coffin. But I had him talking. He admitted to the shipments. The money. Even named Vincent's associates. I kept my face neutral. My heart racing. When I left, the recorder felt like a grenade in my bag. I drove straight to Ellis, handing it over in a gas station parking lot. This better be enough, I said. He listened to a snippet, his face hardening. It's a start. Stay low, Claire. Things are about to get ugly. I got home to find Lily on the couch, her eyes puffy. You were gone again, she said, her voice small. I knelt beside her, desperate to bridge the gap. I'm trying to fix things. Lily. I swear. She looked at me, searching for truth. Then why do I feel like I don't know you? Her words broke me. But before I could answer, my burner phone buzzed. It was Vincent. You talked. Big mistake. Panic surged through me. I grabbed Lily's hand. Pack a bag. Now. She protested, but my tone left no room for argument. We were out the door in 10 minutes, headed for a motel across town. As we drove, I kept checking the rear view, half expecting Vincent's men to appear. Lily was quiet, clutching her backpack, her fear mirroring mine. I'd wanted to protect her, but I'd only dragged her deeper into my nightmare. At the motel, I locked the door and checked the windows, my mind racing. Ellis had the recording, but Vincent was a step ahead. I had to keep Lily safe, but I was running out of places to hide. As she slept, I sat by the window, watching the parking lot, the recorder's weight a reminder of the line I'd crossed. I'd wanted to save us, but I might have destroyed us instead. The motel room smelled of stale cigarettes and regret, its thin walls doing little to muffle the hum of the highway outside. Lily slept fitfully on the lumpy bed, her face tense even in dreams. I sat by the window, gripping the burner phone, waiting for Ellis to call with news that Andrews was in custody or for Vincent's men to find us first. At dawn, Ellis texted, Andrews arrested. Stay hidden. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Vincent was still out there, and his threat hung like a blade over our heads. I needed a plan, but my mind was a fog of fear and guilt. Lily stirred, her eyes meeting mine. Are we safe now? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to lie, to promise her everything was fine, but the truth was a weight I couldn't carry alone anymore. Lily, I need to tell you something, I said, my voice trembling. She sat up, wary but listening. I took a deep breath and told her everything: me husband's death, the debt, the deals with Vincent to keep us afloat. I left out the darkest details, but I didn't sugarcoat it. I thought I was protecting you, I said, tears streaming down my face. But I was wrong. I'm so sorry. She stared at me, her expression a mix of shock and betrayal. You lied to me, she whispered. All this time, you were a criminal. The word cut like glass, but I nodded. I didn't know how else to keep us together. She turned away, curling into herself, and the silence was worse than any argument. I'd bared my soul, but it might have cost me hers. That afternoon, Ellis called. Andrews is talking. He's giving up names, but Vincent's in the wind. You need to stay off the grid until we find him. I agreed, but the motel wasn't safe long-term. I needed somewhere Vincent couldn't reach us. Sarah's name came to mind. She'd offered help before. I called her, explaining everything. Come to my cabin, she said without hesitation. It's remote. You'll be safe. We left at dusk, Lily silent in the passenger seat. The drive to Sarah's cabin in Wisconsin took hours, the dark roads stretching like my fears. When we arrived, Sarah greeted us with coffee and a fierce hug. "Your family," she said. "We'll figure this out." Lily barely acknowledged her, retreating to a guest room. I wanted to follow, but Sarah stopped me. "Give her time, Claire. She's processing." That night, I pored over the flash drive's files again, searching for anything to help Ellis find Vincent. One email mentioned a meeting at a dockyard tomorrow night. It was a long shot, but if Vincent was there, I could end this. I called Ellis, passing on the lead. "Don't do anything stupid," he warned. "Let us handle it." But I couldn't sit idle. If Vincent slipped away, Lily and I would never be free. The next day, I told Sarah I had to run an errand. She saw through me but didn't argue, promising to watch Lily. I drove back to Chicago, my heart pounding as I neared the dockyard. The place was a maze of crates and shadows, the air thick with salt and oil. I hid behind a stack of containers, watching for Vincent. Hours passed, my nerves fraying, until I saw him flanked by two men, talking to a figure in a hooded jacket. I crept closer, straining to hear. Vincent's voice was low, but I caught "new supplier" and "clean slate." My blood ran cold. He was planning to disappear, leaving me as the fall guy. I pulled out my phone, recording their conversation, but a twig snapped under my foot. Vincent's head whipped around, his eyes locking onto mine. "Claire," he growled, and I ran. My legs burned as I dodged through the crates, Vincent's men close behind. I reached my car, fumbling with the keys, and peeled out as gunfire echoed. My heart raced, but I'd gotten the recording. I sent it to Ellis from a gas station, my hands shaking. "Vincent's at the dockyard." I texted, "Get him." Then I drove back to the cabin, praying I'd made the right call. Lily was awake when I returned, her eyes red but softer. "I'm still mad," she said, "but I don't want to lose you." I hugged her, tears falling. For the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope. But as we sat together, my phone buzzed with a new message: "You can't hide forever." Vincent was still out there, and our fight wasn't over. The cabin's quiet was a fragile shield, broken only by the crackle of the fireplace and Lily's soft breathing as she slept beside me. Vincent's message burned in my mind: "You can't hide forever." I'd sent Ellis the dockyard recording, but every creak of the cabin made me jump, expecting Vincent's men to burst through the door. I clutched Lily's hand, vowing to protect her, even if it meant facing Vincent myself. Sarah caught me staring at the phone. "You're not thinking of going after him, are you?" she asked, her voice sharp. I didn't answer, but my silence was enough. "Claire, you're not a hero. You're a mom. Stay here for Lily." Her words stung, but they were true. I'd spent years trying to be both protector and provider, but I'd only hurt the one person who mattered most. Morning brought a call from Ellis. We raided the dockyard. Vincent got away, but we nabbed 2 of his guys. They're talking. My relief was tempered by fear Vincent was a ghost, and ghosts don't stop haunting. Ellis urged me to stay put, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Vincent was closing in. I checked the cabin's locks, my paranoia growing with every passing hour. Lily was quieter than usual. Her anger softened, but not gone. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked over breakfast. I sighed, stirring my coffee. "I thought I was keeping you safe. But I was wrong, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." She nodded, her eyes guarded but warming. It was a start, but trust would take time. That afternoon, Sarah took Lily for a walk, giving me space to think. I reopened the flash drive's files, desperate for anything to pin Vincent down. One document caught my eye: a ledger listing payments to an address in Chicago's South Side. It wasn't much, but it was a lead. I called Ellis, passing it on. Don't move, he said. We're closing in. But waiting felt like surrender, and I'd been running too long to sit still. Against my better judgment, I drove to the address that night, leaving Lily with Sarah. The south side was a labyrinth of crumbling buildings and flickering streetlights. The address led to an abandoned factory, its windows dark. I parked a block away, my heart pounding as I slipped inside. The air was thick with dust, the silence oppressive. Then I heard voices, Vincent's among them. I hid behind a rusted machine, my phone recording. Vincent was talking to a woman, her voice unfamiliar but commanding. The cops are close, she said. Cut your losses and leave. Vincent laughed. Not until I deal with Claire. She's got too much on me. My stomach twisted. He wasn't just after Mayhay wanted me dead. I backed away, but my foot caught a pipe, the clang echoing. Vincent's head snapped toward me, and I bolted. The chase was a blur, footsteps pounding, my breath ragged. I reached my car, speeding away as Vincent's men fired shots that missed by inches. I drove to a diner, uploading the recording to Ellis before my hands stopped shaking. He's at the factory, I texted. Hurry. I returned to the cabin, my nerves frayed, and found Lily waiting up. You left again, she said, her voice breaking. I hugged her, no words left to explain. Ellis called at dawn. We got him. The factory was his last stand. Relief flooded me, but it was bittersweet. Vincent was gone, but the damage I'd done to Lily, to myself, remained. I thanked Ellis, promising to testify if needed. He warned me to stay low until the trial, but for the first time, I felt the weight lifting. Back at the cabin, I sat with Lily, holding her hand. It's over, I said. I'm done with that life. She looked at me, her eyes searching for truth. Promise? She asked. I nodded, tears falling. Promise. We stayed with Sarah another week, rebuilding the trust I'd broken. Lily started smiling again, and each one felt like a victory. But as we packed to return home, a new message came from an unknown number. You're not free yet. My heart stopped. Vincent was gone, but his world wasn't. I deleted the message, pulling Lily close. I'd fight for her, no matter what came next. For the first time, I believed I could. The drive back to Chicago was quiet. The hum of the highway, a fragile truce between Lily and me. Her hand rested in mine, a small gesture that felt like a lifeline after years of lies. But the unknown message, not free yet, gnawed at me. A reminder that Vincent's world had long fingers, even with him behind bars. Back home, our house felt both familiar and foreign, like a photograph faded by time. Lily went to her room, promising to unpack, while I checked the locks and windows. Paranoia, a habit I couldn't break. Ellis had assured me Vincent's arrest had crippled his network, but the message suggested someone else was watching. I needed to end this for good, for Lily's sake. I called Sarah, asking her to dig into the shell company from Andrew's emails. She'd been a paralegal once, with a knack for finding what others missed. Be careful, she warned. You're poking a bear. But I couldn't stop. The ledger from the flash drive pointed to a woman named Elena, the voice I'd heard at the factory. If she was Vincent's partner, she was my last loose end. I spent the day rebuilding my life with Lily. We cooked dinner together, her laughter a sound I'd missed for too long. Can we start over, Mom? She asked, chopping vegetables. I nodded, my throat tight. We already are. But as we ate, my mind was on Elena. I'd found an address linked to Hera penthouse downtown. It was risky, but I needed answers. That night, I left Lily with a neighbor, claiming a work errand. The penthouse was in a sleek high-rise, its security laughably easy to bypass with skills I wished I'd never learned. I slipped into Elena's apartment, my heart pounding. The place was pristine, but a laptop on the desk was open, its screen glowing. I hacked in, Finding emails that confirmed my fears, Elena was Vincent's silent partner, now running the show. Before I could download the files, the door clicked open. I ducked behind a couch as Elena entered, her voice sharp on a phone call. "Claire's a problem," she said. "Deal with her." My blood froze. I waited until she left, then copied the files and fled. Back home, I sent everything to Ellis, my hands shaking. "Elena's the key," I texted. "She's after me." Ellis moved fast. By morning, Elena was in custody, her empire crumbling under the weight of my evidence. But the victory felt hollow. Lily's trust was still fragile, and I'd nearly lost her to my secrets. I sat her down, showing her the news of Elena's arrest. "It's really over now," I said. She hugged me, her tears soaking my shirt. "I just want you, Mom. No more lies." We spent the next weeks healing. I quit my night job, taking a pay cut to work full-time at the law firm. It wasn't easy, but it was honest. Lily started therapy, and I joined her, facing the guilt of my choices. The school dropped the unfit mother claim, Andrew's arrest clearing my name. The PDA moms still whispered, but their words couldn't touch us anymore. One evening, Lily brought home a drawing from art class, a sketch of us, smiling, our hands linked. "This is us now," she said, her voice steady. I framed it, hanging it in the living room as a reminder of what we'd survived. The burner phone stayed silent, its battery long dead. I didn't need it anymore. But late at night, when the house was quiet, I'd sometimes check my email, half expecting another threat. None came, but the fear lingered, a scar from my double life. I'd rebuilt my bond with Lily, but I knew the cost of my secrets would never fully fade. We were safe, but safety was fragile, and I'd spend every day proving I deserved her trust. As I tucked Lily in one night, her eyes heavy with sleep, she whispered, "I'm proud of you, Mom." Those words were worth more than any money I'd earned in the shadows. I kissed her forehead, vowing to be the mother she deserved, not perfect, but honest, and always hers.